The Arctic is melting 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. We've all heard the warnings. The primary threat, they tell us, is sea level rise. A slow, creeping disaster that will flood our coasts over the next century. But what if I told you that rising water is the least of our worries? What if it's the perfect cover story for a series of catastrophic events that will unfold not in a century, but in a decade? The true danger isn't the water level going up. It's what's coming to the surface as the ice goes down. The Arctic isn't just a block of ice. It's a frozen tomb, a forgotten battlefield, and a biological time bomb, all rolled into one. And the countdown to it opening has already begun. Today, we go beyond the headlines of climate change. We will uncover the forgotten military secrets, the ancient plagues, and the bizarre historical artifacts that are locked in the Arctic ice, and explore what happens when this frozen Pandora's box is finally forced open. The Arctic has always been a place where empires go to hide their secrets and lose their ambitions. In 1845, Sir John Franklin's expedition, with its 2 state-of-the-art Royal Navy ships, sailed into the ice to find the Northwest Passage and simply vanished. For over 160 years, it was one of history's greatest mysteries, swallowed whole by the ice. But the real secrets were buried during the Cold War. In the 1960s, the United States Army began a top-secret mission in Greenland called Project Iceworm. The official story was that it was a scientific research station. The declassified truth: it was a plan to build a city under the ice, a hidden network of tunnels to house and launch hundreds of nuclear missiles right under the Soviet Union's nose. The project was abandoned when the ice sheet proved too unstable, leaving behind a subterranean ghost city, complete with a nuclear reactor and untold amounts of biological waste, all entombed in ice. For now, to understand the ticking clock we're facing, you need to know about 2 phenomena happening right now. The first is permafrost. It's not just frozen soil. Think of it as a natural cryogenic freezer miles deep that has been running for 500,000 years. It contains the perfectly preserved bodies of mammoths, ancient plants, and more importantly, the bacteria and viruses that coexisted with them. The second, and far more explosive concept is methane clathrates, also known as fire ice. Imagine bubbles of methane gas, a greenhouse gas over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide, trapped inside a crystalline cage of frozen water on the seabed. There are trillions of tons of it down there. As the ocean warms, these frozen cages are becoming unstable. They are not melting, they are preparing to pop. The year is 2034. The Arctic is ice-free for the first summer in recorded history. New, lucrative shipping lanes have opened up. But one day, a Danish survey ship in the Greenland Sea detects something strange. Sonar reveals the unmistakable shape of a man-made structure on the seabed, a military submarine. It bears the markings of the Soviet K-class, a notorious model known as a Widowmaker for its volatile nuclear reactors. It was reported lost decades ago. Its 2 reactors and nuclear torpedoes have been leaking radiation into the deep, cold water contained by the ice. But now, the warm currents are beginning to carry it south. Suddenly, a distress call comes from a new Siberian port. A mysterious pneumonia-like illness is sweeping through the workers. It's aggressive, antibiotic-resistant, and has a terrifying mortality rate. Doctors are baffled. Simultaneously, satellite sensors over the East Siberian shelf send a global alert. A massive, spontaneous release of methane has erupted from the seabed, a clathrate blowout. A plume of flammable, climate-altering gas, miles wide, is now in the atmosphere. The event is so powerful it triggers underwater landslides, threatening the new shipping lanes and undersea data cables. In less than 72 hours, the world is facing 3 simultaneous crises born from the same melting ice: a radiological disaster, a biological plague for which we have no immunity, and an irreversible climate feedback loop. The dominoes are not just falling, they are exploding. Now, the conventional view from some biologists and climatologists is that this is alarmist. They argue that any ancient virus would likely be too degraded after 30,000 years to be infectious to humans. They claim methane releases will be a slow, steady seep over centuries, not a single catastrophic eruption. It's a problem for our great-grandchildren, they say. However, this reassuring view has been shattered by hard evidence. In 2014, French scientists drilled into Siberian permafrost and successfully revived a 30,000-year-old giant virus, Pithovirus sibericum. In their lab, they proved it was still capable of infecting its target amoebas. They literally reanimated a zombie virus and confirmed the principle is sound. More recently, satellite monitoring has already detected massive, unexpected plumes of methane bubbling to the surface in the Arctic, proving the slow seep model is dangerously optimistic and wrong. But if you need one irrefutable piece of historical evidence that the melting ice will reveal a shocking, forgotten history, we must go back to Project Iceworm. The United States government abandoned the base in 1967. When they left, they believed it would be preserved forever, entombed for eternity by perpetual snowfall. That was their official assessment. They left everything behind. But recent climate studies have now concluded the opposite. The ice sheet is melting, and the tomb is now rising to the surface. Scientific models published in the journal Geophysical Research Letters predict the entire toxic legacy of Iceworm, its radioactive coolant, its 20,000 liters of biological waste, its millions of liters of diesel fuel, will be fully exposed to the environment before the end of this century, possibly much sooner. This isn't a hypothetical. It's a documented, abandoned nuclear base filled with poison that is guaranteed to surface. It is the proof of concept for every other secret that lies buried beside it. And this brings us to one of history's most bizarre and enduring secrets. During the Second World War, the Nazi regime's inner circle, particularly Heinrich Himmler, was obsessed with ancient mysticism and the idea of a lost Aryan homeland in the far north, a place called Thule or Hyperborea. They funded expeditions to the most remote corners of the globe. A compelling theory suggests that in the final, desperate days of the war, a high-tech German U-boat, part of a convoy known as Operation Regenbogen, was sent not to surrender, but on a final mission to the Arctic. Its cargo was not gold, but something far more valuable to them: occult artifacts, advanced technology, or perhaps even high-ranking personnel. The sub never arrived at its destination and was declared lost. What if it wasn't destroyed but became trapped and frozen in the ice? As the Arctic thaws, will the world's superpowers be racing to secure shipping lanes, or will they be in a covert race to be the first to reach a lost Nazi submarine and whatever secrets it took to its frozen grave? In the end, the melting of the Arctic is not a single story of rising seas. It's the story of a seal being broken. It's a radiological, biological, climatic, and historical crisis unfolding all at once. The ice has been a blanket, hiding the mistakes of our past and the terrifying potential of our deep past. We are not just facing an environmental crisis, we are facing an inheritance. And we are not prepared for what we are about to inherit. So I have to ask you, of all the things locked in the ice, which do you believe poses the greatest threat to our future? The forgotten military waste, the reawakened ancient plagues, or the explosive methane waiting to be released? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this deep dive into the world's hidden secrets has captured your imagination, be sure to subscribe and activate notifications. And you won't want to miss our video exploring the declassified secrets of projects that tried to weaponize the weather. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.